One of the greatest issues behind the collapse of society, or the impending collapse of society, is apathy. You can blame any one of the politicians, you can blame groups of people, you can blame government, you can blame conservatives, liberals, Democrats, Republicans, you can blame any group of people. But ultimately the problem is that individuals have lost the initiative, have lost the courage to criticize their fellow man. Nobody wants to tell someone that they think they're being an idiot. Nobody wants to tell someone else that they're doing something wrong. Why do you have things like Occupy Wall Street? Well, you can say it's because a whole group of students graduated from college. Realistically, they graduated with BS degrees that they never are going to be able to use, but that's regardless. And there are no jobs. So they can't pay off their ridiculous college debt that they never should have gone to college and accumulated anyway. So you can spin it the way I did, you can spin it to the left, you can spin it however you want. The problem is, when they all decided to organize, maybe there were people within that heard of it, that were hearing the beginnings of it, that felt it was a bad idea, but they never said so. Where were the parents? Where were the parents telling the kids that it's not right to go ruin somebody else's life because you're having a bad day? So life gave you lemons. That doesn't mean you throw them at other people. That doesn't mean you shove your lemons down somebody else's throat. Now, I know a lot of these people literally and metaphorically can't even make lemonade. But for them to take their problems out on the rest of us, and nobody's willing to stand up and tell them to get the heck out of there. You could have, in a place like New York, in a place like San Francisco, you can't tell me that the number of occupiers is greater than the number of concerned citizens. The rest of the population might as well, they should have looked and said, we can't get through our jobs anyway. Business is pretty much at a standstill. Let's all get together, form a wall of people, and just push these people out of here. Form an unbreakable barrier. And just a wall of people. And push these people out of here. At minimum, everybody should have said, all right, you guys realize what you're doing, right? It's all fine and dandy that you believe in activism and trying to stand up for your cause, but you're not helping, you're hurting. There are perfectly peaceful resolutions to this problem, but no one's willing to take them. And I think the reason that you see instances of violence, be it from wherever and whoever, these shootings that occur throughout the United States, I think what you're seeing is a bunch of people who want to fix the problem, who try to tell people, to care, or sick of the apathy, or they're snapping. What else can they do? They feel powerless because nobody stands beside them. Now, I'm not trying to justify what these people are doing. What they're doing is wrong. It's the wrong approach. But it's frightening that they're forced into a corner where that's what they do. Right, wrong, or indifferent, left, right, whatever. The reason you're seeing these acts of violence, the reason you're seeing these very, very large groups of incontent people is because there's this apathy. Everybody talks about doing the right thing, but we act as though the election is the only way that we're going to fix the problems. You do realize that the politicians don't elect themselves. They better not be. There's voter fraud laws for that. The people elect the politicians. And nobody wants to talk politics. Look what we have done to political discussion. You can't discuss it in school. You can't discuss it in church. You can't discuss it around the dinner table. You can't discuss it with friends. Who do you discuss it with? Is the 1 month before the election every 4 years the only time we're allowed to talk politics? Yeah, it aggravates some people. But if you haven't noticed, the lack of discussion, the lack of action has been equally, if not more so, aggravating. What you're seeing is caused by apathy. People simply don't care. They'd rather live their life, do whatever they do, their hobbies, their job. Hopefully they have a job. I know a lot of them don't. But they don't want to work to be part of the solution because it requires effort. You've got to spread your beliefs. Talk to someone. Try to do it in a peaceful fashion. A lot of people can be swayed against doing something. The only reason they're doing it is because it's popular. It's cool. But maybe it just takes one person or a few people to talk to them and say, hey, don't you realize that this isn't the solution? That there are better ways? Arguably, all these big protests like Occupy, they're people getting together and they're voicing their opinion. But they're doing it in the wrong way. You talk to someone, talk to your politicians, talk to your friends. If someone asked you, who do you think's a better candidate? Tell them who you think and why you think they're better. Or if someone asks you if, I don't know much about this or that, don't back off and say, well, I'd rather not talk about it. And if someone asks you your opinion, for God's sake, don't butter it up, back it off, or go all out just because of how you think they're going to take it. If someone asks you what you believe, tell them what you believe. Because if you keep just modifying your beliefs to make everybody happy, you don't believe anything. You let somebody else dictate what you believe. The reason we have all of these problems is because no one is willing to even talk about the problems. We keep putting it off to the election. We'll think about it when it comes time to the elections. If you haven't noticed, the elections are 57 days away. Start talking, people. Announce your beliefs. Get together. We've got to drop this attitude that it's wrong to talk about politics and things that are controversial. Because if nobody's talking about it, then nothing ever gets done. You're letting the small vocal minority of political and social thought dictate the greater society. Everybody has to be part of this. There's no time for apathy. We can't all just keep putting it off and putting it off, because that's what's causing the problem. Nobody wants to stand up for what's right. We're too complacent. We'd rather alter our beliefs and just bend over and put up with it. And I like to use the Occupy movement as a great example. It wasn't a protest. What they were doing was solely for the purpose of disruption. But no one stood up to them. Now, I'm not going to say no one. A few people did. But we can't, as a society, let a group of people shut everything down in a city on the grounds of protest. And we can't let, like I said, we can't let that little minority, the few that are willing to voice their opinions, govern everyone. So, don't be apathetic, because that's the problem right now. we're letting the few people that have the inspiration run the show.